Do you want to hear a shocking statistic? Here's the latest data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. The average person on average annually is only making $53,490 per year from their full-time job. This is the latest statistics, by the way. That's only $1,028 per week. And that's for 40 hours of your life that is non-replenishable. Now, I'm making this video because I find that atrocious, gobsmacking, and an outright scam. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can go about not only making your first $100 online, because it's not about the $100, it's the ability to make the $100. Because if you can make $100, you can make two, you can make four, you can make $1,000, you can make 10 grand, you can then go on to make 20 grand. You can then eventually quit your job. So by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly the best route, the best methods, the best mindset you're going to need to install into your brain in order for you to go about quitting your job. And I'm going to install the actual mindset you're going to need to make that mental shift and break out of the barriers that you have right now, the shackles that you have right now that's stopping you from going from 9 to 5 to going into your own business and taking it seriously. Because if you don't, you're just going to remain a slave forever. And I genuinely do not want you doing that if you're watching this channel. That's why I started this whole channel. I just wanted to document it to see if I could make something of my life. And if I could, I always wanted to help back. So I'm in that, blissful position where I've never had to work a job. I never will have to work a job because I know exactly how to turn $1 into $2, into $3 with advertising and with online business. So let's jump straight into my iPad. Now, if you're stuck watching this, you're scared to quit your job, you're stuck in the 9 to 5 trenches, you're stuck in the grind, you're stuck in the 60 hours per week, the 40 hours a week, damn, even the 80 hours per week, I've got your back. I'm gonna break this down for you. First of all, we need to put some numbers on the board. So again, according to the US Bureau, the average person is making about 53 grand per year. We'll call that 54 grand. To be on the safe side. And again, these are the latest statistics from the Bureau, the US Bureau. So it's not like I'm making this shit up. You can literally go and Google this right now. So let's put some numbers on the board. We need to hit 54K in a year, which works out to be, if you divide that by 12, about 4.5K in a month. Now, if we need to hit 4.5K profit in a month for you to be, happy, for you to, well, at least replace your job. I wouldn't say happy, but at least replace your job. We'll start there. This video is about just starting. It's about making your first $100 online. Let's start small. We need to break this limiting belief that you have that making money online is false, that it's a scam, that it doesn't work. It does work. You just need to be doing the right things with the right system. So 4.5K a month is the goal. That's typically where people start deciding, you know what, I'm probably gonna pack up this 9 to 5 stuff, especially when they have about 6 months worth of expenses in their bank account. So put 4.5K on the board, right? Let's just do ease of maths. If you're selling something, a product, I recommend starting with digital products, something smaller ticket than going out there and trying to sell a 1.5K per month service. I used to teach that back in the day. I just think it's getting very saturated now. I think it still can work. It's just that which one would you believe? Let's say you're a 45-year-old business owner and some 18-year-old kid comes to you and says, I can run your Facebook ads for 1.5K a month. You're gonna be like, yo, kick rocks. You got spots all over your face. You're like a video game nerd. Get out of here. What the hell do you know? That's typically the response what you're gonna get. Now, you can get around that if you got case studies and testimonials and references, but you probably don't have that if you're just getting started and you want to quit your job. So I recommend going the digital product route because it's going to teach you marketing and how to market your own business first before you start providing that as a service to other people. Shouldn't you get some experience doing it yourself before you offer it? Probably. So let's say we need to hit 4.5K and you're selling something for $100. Well, we know we need 45 customers a month in order to hit that. So we need 45 sales of this one thing, which is a digital product. I recommend, if you haven't watched what digital products to create or how to create your first digital product, click the link below or go to my recent YouTube video. But if you click the link below, I'm going to show you how to pick a niche, how to create a digital product, even if you've got no skills, what you should do, how to identify your skills, how to, if you don't have skills, pick up skills so you can turn it into a digital product. The link is below. The first people to get into that, you're gonna get like a huge discount. It's gonna be good, it's gonna be worth your time. It will help you, make that first $100 and then some online. So we need 45 customers in a month. That works out to be about 1.5 sales per day. So now we have this overall goal written down on the board that's actually achievable. Think about it. The only thing that's stopping you from quitting your job right now is selling something for $100 and just getting 1.5 sales on average a day. Now, obviously, before you put in the comment section, how can you get a 0.5 of a sale? Obviously you can't. I'm just saying, well, technically you could if you upsold a $50 thing, you sold something for $100 and then you got an upsell of $50, you make $150 in a day. So technically you just need to hit $150 in a day. That's a long way of me saying make $150 in a day. The problem is this, you've probably got two big limiting beliefs. Number one, and this is what I really want to attack here. The first limiting belief you probably have is that you don't want to start a business, or you don't want to put all your energy into a business because you think a 9-to-5 is safe. The reason why you've been taught to believe this is safe is because you get paid on like a monthly/weekly basis, and you feel like there's a certain certainty there. You feel certainty on this monthly price or this monthly fee that you're making, and that feels safe to you. So what ends up happening is, and I've talked about this since 2018 on my Instagram, I've always said that there's this trap in life that people fall down. The first trap is they go into university because they want to please their parents, typically. If you're nodding along, yes, it happened to me. Went to university, found out the first day I went, I absolutely hated it. I went to study business and ICT thinking it was going to teach me online business. It was far from that. It taught me how to shake hands with people in a job interview and how to get hired for a job. I was there to start a business. It was teaching me the complete opposite. A complete waste of time. That's a different story. So that's the first trap. We'll call that the university trap or the college trap. The second trap I identified back in 2018, and I've been talking about this even prior to then, is the trap of you thinking you own your things when really your things own you. Let me give you an example. You're taught to go to university. School before that, get good grades, go to university, get good grades, go on, elevate, get the best certificates and graduations and degrees and all these crazy letters behind your name in order for you to land the best jobs, right? You then start getting these jobs, and now you're making 6K a month, 5K a month, 7K a month, 8K a month. Let's say whatever it is, right? Whatever the job is, doesn't really matter. Could be friggin' 12K a month. You're still a slave to the system. I heard a quote once that said, I don't care if you make 12K a month or 20K a month from a job, or you drive a Benz. You're still a sheep in a Benz. And it was very powerful for me. I kind of butchered that, but I believe it's in one of the books that I read one time, and it kind of like stuck with me. So stick with me on this. So the second trap is this. You go get a job. You then start feeling safe. This is how the trap happens. That's supposed to say safe. You then start purchasing things. You start buying. You start consuming. This is the big thing that you become a slave to. You make yourself a slave. Let me explain. Because you've got a job and because you think it's safe, you then start looking at that nice Benz that I just mentioned, that nice BMW, that nice Rolex watch, that mortgage. You then start thinking, let's save up and start a family. Let me get married. All this is building up your debt. This is debt that's being built up, which is why there's so much frigging credit card debt. Because people have this false sense of security that, next month I'm gonna get paid this much money, therefore I can put this new TV that I want, this 65-inch TV, this 85-inch TV on finance. The problem with this is that when you're an employee, you trade time for money. Which basically means if you work and you make 5K a month, for example, let's say you make 5K a month from your job and your car payment is $500 a month. Well, then you're working and your life force is actually paying for this car because you're working for the money and the money is working so that you can afford the car. Your car technically owns you. Let me explain. If you stop paying this car note, what happens to your car? We all know. It's called repo. Your car gets repossessed. Why? Because you can't pay the money. Well, how do you make the money? Well, then now you've got to force yourself to get your ass up and get to your job. And what's a job? A job is trading time for money. So whilst you think you own this new Benz, technically the Benz owns you because you have to get your ass up out of bed to go to the job, to make the money, to then pay for the Benz. So the Benz is, I guess it's yours on paper, but you don't own the Benz. Technically the Benz owns you. And this will always be the case when you're trading time for money. Now, I don't believe in passive income in any way, shape or form. Nothing's passive at all. But I believe there are more passive ways, or ways that are slightly more passive to make income where your time is not attached to money. One of them being a software company. Another one being a business that's fully hands off, but you've still got to manage that team. So it's not really, because you've still got handcuffs, which is why I don't really recommend going into the high ticket, even though everybody says this, high ticket, kind of like coaching or services route, because you've still got to manage a team. Then you've got client work. What I found is that digital products, SaaS and digital products, these two things, they don't really have client work. They don't have client work. You don't really need to build a big team. Well, for digital products, you definitely don't need to build a big team. If you know how to code, then obviously you don't really need a big team. But SaaS is probably, I would call that like a level 9 out of 10 on the difficulty scale as an entrepreneur to help you make your first $100. It's very difficult to start a SaaS business. You need developers, front end and back end. You need marketing team or marketing. So it's like, I see digital products as the ultimate business for like 99% of people to get into. I won't say 100% of people because it just doesn't work for everybody. It just doesn't. No business works for everybody. And if Guru is telling you that it does, time to kick rocks. So what I want to break down is this digital product stuff and the mindset stuff. You need to start detaching and start finding ways to create value, because value, being paid based on value and not time, you want to change from time to value. This is how you're going to detach your income from time so you can quit your job. Now, how does a business actually work? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how a business works and why somebody would buy something like a digital product or even a coaching or just anything from a business. It's this right here. I call this, and I've been talking about this for years. It's called the A point and the B point. People pretty much buy things that they believe is going to make them either look better, increase their status, or transform their life in some way, shape or form. For example, a Rolex watch, 25 grand a pop for certain Rolex models, configurations, all that good stuff. And all it does is tell the time and look pretty. They do look very good, I will admit. But the point is this, a person that doesn't have a Rolex sees themselves in a certain way than when they would in the future have that Rolex. So what they're actually doing is they're buying this better version of themselves in the future. Why would somebody buy a digital program on how to start dropshipping, or buy a digital program that teaches them how to create videos in Final Cut Pro, or edit videos with a DaVinci Resolve, or edit videos with whatever other software, Final Cut Pro, whatever it is that you're using? The reason why is because they've already got this preconceived notion that in the future, they're gonna be able to use this video editing skill to make money, save money, do something that's going to improve their lives. So if you can create products that help people solve a gap, and this right here is the gap. This is the gap. This is how value is created. And if the gap is big enough and you're helping people with large enough problems, they will pay you in direct proportion to the size of the problem you solve. If this is a big problem over here, they're willing to pay big money, which is why your favorite gurus are able to charge 10 grand plus for their coaching programs. The reason why is because they're solving big problems. They're helping people, for example, let's say a guru helps you drive traffic to a landing page, book calls in on a calendar, and then close clients. It's a big problem. You help somebody solve that problem one time, that could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to them. So charging 10 grand makes sense. There's a scale. But let me introduce you to the value scale. So I'm pretty sure you guys know the scale. Imagine lady, what's her name? The justice lady, you know what I'm talking about when you go to court and there's like a woman, the justice woman. This is like a scale. If your price outweighs the value, you will never get a sale. But if your price exceeds the value, or the value, should I say, exceeds the price, that's the right way around. Your value weighs more than your price. So to get big value for little money, you get a sale every single time. So this is all quite easy to understand. So why is it that you're not able to go out there and start making money like all these dudes you see online? Well, let me introduce you to this thing called limiting beliefs. You have limiting beliefs right now. You probably believe, I can't do this. This doesn't work. This is not for me. Here's a big one, which is bullshit. I don't have time for this. Here's another one. I don't have the skills for this. So let's just go through each one of these one by one. Starting with this one. I don't have the skills for this. You do know you live in the greatest time era there's ever been. We have these things: iPads, computers, cameras, laptops, mobile phones. You can literally search right now how to create the perfect vegan dietary template resource type thing into ChatGPT. Get a whole structure and then tell it to give you 50 more examples of this, and you will literally be able to come up with your first digital product that you can sell for like $27 to $97 flat in about an hour. You can then spend about 2 days creating that, or learning the skills and learning the recipes that go into this template / recipe book type thing, and you can sell that to vegans. You can then start learning skills such as how to code within a month, 2 months, 3 months, and put a beginner's guide to coding, checklist, resources, templates together. You can do the same with video editing. There is no excuses for you now. I don't have time. This is bullshit. In fact, I will say this is so bullshit that I actually agree with you. I agree with you. You don't have time. Here's the problem. If you don't have time, you have to make time. You will never have time. This is a mindset shift you need to go through. I don't have time needs to I will create time. Because if you tell yourself you don't have time, you're never gonna have time. But if this was of the utmost importance, let's say this was, God forbid, jinx touch wood, all that good stuff. God forbid you was diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness. I can guarantee that would light a fire under your ass, and you would find time. You'd find a way. You would find a cure. So as soon as you start treating it like that severely, that's when you'll start making time. So I agree with you. You don't have time. You genuinely, you just don't. You don't have the time to start this because you're working on these hours. So what you need to do is you need to focus on saying, I don't have time, to how will I make time? How could I make time? If I had a gun to my head right now, how could I make time to pull this off? Until you start thinking like that, you won't get anywhere. This is not for me. Well, if it's not for you, who is it for? Why is it not for you? What do you mean by that? There are people dumber than you right now that are making way more money than you, and they have a way more chilled life than you. Have you ever seen that bell curve? I forgot what the bell curve is, but a bell curve looks like this, where it's like you've got this complete idiot over here, and then you've got there's IQ over here, IQ down here, and IQ is like 170 down here or something crazy like that. And these two people come to the same conclusion and just do the fucking thing. Whereas this guy over here, who's got like an average IQ, like a median IQ that like most of the population have, gets stuck doing 10 different things and can't figure it out. Whereas this person just comes to the, oh, I'll just do it. And this person just comes to the conclusion, oh, I'll just do it. Here's you. See what I'm trying to say? There's like this famous bell curve. I forgot what it's called, but it's like the idiot versus the genius. And the idiot and the genius both come to the same conclusion, which is, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it. This guy does it out of sheer ignorance to not even knowing how difficult it will be. And this person just says, yeah, it will be difficult, I'm just gonna do it anyway. And this person over here sat making all these excuses, thoughts, and reasons why you can't do it. So he ends up being stuck in the middle. Don't be stuck in the middle. Be on either side. Let's go to the next point. This doesn't work. I can't. This does work. You've seen people doing this all day, every day. I made over 600K from digital products alone. That's not even including the rest of the stuff that I've done, from agency stuff, from consulting / coaching stuff. Made over I believe it's like $1.2 million now online. I was broke at 23. Never even read a book until 22, maybe 23 years old or something like that. 21, 22, something like that. I can't do this. What do you mean you can't do this? Of course you can. You've got every resource, every advantage your ancestors didn't have. There are people that have come to your country, whether you're in the US, United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, wherever it is, with nothing but a dream and no money. Yet they've been able to build a family, they've got a house, and they're looking after you. If your family was obviously, if they immigrated over. You get the point? You hear success stories like that all the time. So how do you go about breaking these limiting beliefs? How do you break them though, Montel? I understand I've got limiting beliefs, but how do I break them? So here's how you break them. To break limiting beliefs, you have to start collecting small wins. Forget trying to make 10 grand a month right now. Forget trying to make 10 grand a month in the next year. Just forget it. Just think to yourself, how can you make just $100? Just make $100 online. Just break the barrier of making $100 online. Here's why. It's not gonna be about the $100 that you make at all. $100 is $100, it's just not that much money. I'm pretty sure there's barbers that charge more for that than that for like a haircut, literally. But it's not about the $100. It's about the process of you saying, I'm going to figure out how to make $100 without relying on trading my time for money in a 9-to-5 job. Once you figure out how to make your first $100, you now know how to make $200. If you can make $200, you can make 500. You can make 500, you can make $5,000, because it's just the same process but scaled up. So it's not about thinking about how can I go from 0 to 20 grand a month in the next 30 days. It's about how do you just make your first $100 online. The way how I would personally do it is I would create a digital product, especially if you're in a 9-to-5 job. Let me explain why. Digital products is going to eliminate you from having to do client work. Your first digital product is not going to be a full-fledged course. So it's only going to take you about 2 days to create, from coming up with the idea to creating a digital product to then making it look pretty and sellable. And then maybe an extra day to set up your marketing channels, which I'll explain in a second. So in total, you're looking at about, let's call it 4 days worth of work. We'll call it 4 days. Call it 4 days, right? What we're going to do is we're going to create a digital product, because it's going to eliminate us from having to do client work. And with digital products, we also don't need to spend our time doing outreach, because your time's limited. You just told me, Montel, I don't have a bunch of time. I'm pretty sure you can put aside 4 days. And even then, it's not the full 4 days. You're working maybe 3 hours a day per day. So you're looking at about 12 hours of work. And your first digital product is going to be like a checklist, an e-guide, a tutorial of something that you've solved or something that you can learn and solve for other people. That's all it is. The best digital products always come from within. When I say within, I don't mean like your heart. I literally mean like, what have you solved, or what do people come to you for help with? If it's relationship advice, put together a whole e-guide on how you're landing dates with people's dream girls. There are people out there that can't even get a single date. They don't know what to say. They're nervous as hell. And it might not even be how to date. It might just be how to dress well and dress confidently and speak confidently on dates. And here's the craziest thing though. I've noticed with digital products, whenever I tell somebody to create a digital product, they always seem to overlook the things that they're good at. You know why? Because the things that they're good at, they feel like they're just naturally good at those things and that they're not really that important. People wouldn't pay for them. That's BS. And here's another kind of weird, oxymoronic, it's very ironic as well, how it works, is the more skilled you get in an actual skill, the more you start developing that natural flair for it. Because you develop a natural flair for a skill, you then just see it as your natural being, and this is just how I am. It's just kind of like, yeah, I know how to do that. I know how to code, yeah, you just code. What do you mean? How would I even explain this to a beginner? So the more of an expert you get, here's what I've noticed. The more difficult it is to see your own skills, because you see your skills as like just natural. They come natural to you. They just flow to you. And you're like, yeah, but they just flow to me. So how do I teach somebody this flow here? What you've got to do to break this is you've got to ask yourself, me 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 7 years ago, or 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, prior to whatever skill you've identified that you've got. And yes, you do have a skill. It's just that you're overlooking it because it's always on the tip of your nose. So you overlook it. So you want to identify the skills to you that come easy. Typically, these are skills that people ask you about and you kind of ignore. Like, what do people come to you for help with? And these are things, like I said, this is you 5 years ago. And this is you now. I'm telling you, you are not the same person you was 5 years ago. You've learned certain things. Maybe you know how to video edit. Maybe you know how to copyright. Maybe you know how to land 2 clients on Upwork. Maybe you know how to use Fiverr. Maybe you know how to get freelancing gigs. Maybe you know how to land a job in tech. Maybe you know how to overcome smoking. Maybe you know how to quit an alcohol addiction. Maybe you know how to set up a certain type of funnel. Maybe you know how to set up some sort of go high level automations. Maybe you know how to set up some sort of email automations. Maybe you know how to book calls on a calendar. Maybe you know how to cold call. Maybe you are confident at cold calling. Maybe you're confident with dating. These are all skills that you overlook because you feel like they're just not valuable. When actually, they are. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put these skills into a digital product. Let me give you an example. If I knew how to edit videos, I would not go out there and start looking for video editing clients. You know why? Because I call this one-dimensional thinking. Any idiot on the internet thinks this way. You've got to start thinking different. Every single person thinks, oh, I've got a skill. Let me go offer this skill as a service. It's the same shit over and over and over again, which is why it's so saturated. Here's how you would do it different. Maybe you know how to color grade videos that look crisp. You can take an iPhone camera and make it look stupidly sharp and pro by color grading it, retouching the colors, retouching the sounds, putting a LUT on there. People don't even know what LUTs are. You might not even know what a lot is if you listen to this. Some of you probably do though, because you're in this marketing field. Anyway, long story short, let's say that's your skill. Well, what you can do for $27 is create a mini course on how to edit your next YouTube video, or how to start your first YouTube channel, or how to set up the lighting equipment and edit the videos and color grade the videos themselves, how to edit the audio. People will pay for this. This gets sold all day, every day, and it's outside of the box. And here's the craziest thing is, you'll have more success doing this than going and being a video editor for clients. You'll have more freedom, more fun, less client work. You'll make more of an impact. You will affect more people's lives. You'll make more money, more profit, and you'll be more fulfilled. I'm telling you this because I know this from a fact. That's why all your favorite gurus turn into digital product sellers. He has the most reach, the most impact, the most fun, the least amount of work, it makes the most money. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to go and start a business that I don't even practice myself, or I've stopped or something like that. I want you to start the business I'm going to be running with for the next 10, 15, 20 years and beyond, and then some. I will always have some sort of digital product to sell, whether that's an ebook, maybe I'll write a book in the future, I don't plan on doing it now. I'll have guides, checklists, digital courses, programs to go through. You guys have seen these before, and don't dare use the scam word, ever. Because let's say you know Photoshop, how to use Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop at all. Like, I suck at Photoshop. I literally, genuinely, this is not even me talking to you guys in a camera. I'm literally saying, Montel, fucking please learn Photoshop. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. But yeah, I actually absolutely suck at Photoshop. I could go online and start looking at Photoshop and learn a lot from Photoshop for free. Or I could just go buy a program and learn from the best of the best. If I want to take Photoshop stupidly serious, because it's part of my workflow, thumbnails, social media content, personal brand stuff, I would just go and buy a program. And some of these programs are like $47 to $97. If you're selling something for $97, you need 3 sales a day in order to be making $300 a day. It's a lot of money. That will instantly replace your job income. If you're selling something for, let's say $47, you get 4 of those sales a day, you're making like $200 a day. That's replacing your income. You see what I'm trying to say? But it's the act of making your first digital product and making your first $100 online that starts this off. And like I said, I recommend starting with a digital product. And by the way, your digital product's not going to be perfect. You've got to start with being messy. You've got to start messy and get good later. This is another thing that kills a lot of people. It's the limiting beliefs of, I can't do this. I don't have the time. You've got to make time. I'm not tech savvy. I don't have any skills. Nobody has frigging skills when they're born. You've got to go and develop skills. Got to go look into skills. Find people's problems, solve them, put them into scalable ways of solving these problems. That's all a digital product is. A digital product is, I've identified there's a problem here. I can solve this problem. And instead of doing it one-to-one style or doing client work to do it, one-to-one coaching or client work to do it, I'm going to put it into a scalable format so that I can create the thing one time. You create the digital product one time, but you can sell it thousands of times over. Which is why digital products are the most, I would say, the most spiritual way of making money. Imagine being able to take an idea in your head, turning it into a singular product, but then that singular product is able to affect 10,000 people's lives, 1,000 people's lives, 10 people's lives, 1,000,000 people's lives. It's insane when you think about it. It's the greatest business model on the planet. Don't ever forget that. So I just want to give you an example. I've seen people that know about personal finance, right? They've taken their personal finance skill and they've gone to Excel. Yes, like Excel on your computer, like Microsoft Excel, like that Excel, that's what I'm talking about. And they've turned Excel into a personal finance calculator and budget calculator. And they've been able to sell so much of this personal finance calculator that they've gone on to make over 100 grand in, like, I wouldn't say their first year, maybe their first year actually. I can't remember the exact number, but they've gone on to make 100 grand, over 100, well, it's way over 100 grand now, literally 100K in a year, selling a personal finance program and personal finance calculator that helps you budget. I even have a friend, right, that came to my house the other day, the same guy that I started SMA with, so shout out to him if he's watching this, and we was talking about him door knocking back in the day, which led him to be very confident when it comes to calls and sales. And I said to him, bro, why don't you just create a program, right, on the confidence that you need in order to do sales and take calls? It's literally just a mindset program and a sales program stuck together that shows beginners that need to do cold calls for their business how to do cold calls for their business. That is solving a real world problem. There are people in their bedroom right now, you probably might be one of them, that would literally shit themselves to get the shits thinking about doing door-to-door sales or cold calling random businesses, picking up the phone, dialing a stranger, and then trying to pitch them something. There are people that cannot get over this fear, and they are willing to spend hundreds of dollars on this. So if you sell a program at $47 on this, and you sell 3 of them a day, you're making $150 a day. It's 4.5K a month. That replaces a job. Now, I want to give you just 3 criteria real quick before I go on what I look for and when I would tell you when to quit your job. The first thing I would say is you must absolutely have a business that's pulling in the equivalent of your job. So if your job is 4.5K, you must be able to pull in 4.5K, right, with your business, and that's in profit per month for at least 3 months straight to lock that in. So if you're making 2K a month from your job right now, you need to make sure your business is pulling in 2K a month for 3 months straight, and that's consistent for 3 months. That's the first criteria of 3. That's just one of 3. Bear with me. The second criteria is I want you to take your bills, all of your bills, personal and whatever bills you've got, right? And I want you to times it by 6 so that you have 6 months worth of bills in your actual bank account. You need all 3 of these, by the way. This is a triangle. The last criteria is the most important. This is where people are going to F up if you do not listen to me. Please listen to me. You must be able to use ads as your traffic source in order to do the above, especially number 1. Your business needs to rely on predictable traffic sources. I'm probably one of the only dudes that's gonna tell you this. Free is probably the number 1 most important thing. Let me explain why. Look at all these fancy influencers and all these dudes that have fell off. Think about all the dudes that were big in the game on YouTube like 4 or 5 years ago that you haven't heard of right now, that are struggling right now, that have these massive audiences but can't make any money from their audiences right now. They've got like millions of followers, but they're broke. The reason why they're broke is because when you rely on organic traffic, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and it crashes. It always friggin' crashes because 1 minute you're hot, 1 minute you're not. And because you relied your business on organic traffic, it's out of your control. It's completely out of your control. In fact, I believe, I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard that when investors are looking into buying businesses, so this is, angel investors, they come in, they buy up a business. The number 1 thing they look for in businesses that are healthy is businesses that don't rely heavily on too much organic traffic, because even they know, which obviously they would know because they're friggin' smart ass dudes, billionaires and multimillionaires, they know that organic traffic is like relying on a free lunch. You might get a free lunch every once in a while. You might get some sales every once in a while, but this is not a long-term strategy that's gonna last 10 to 15 years, 5 to 10 years. You get the point. I don't know why I said 5 to 10 to 15 years and I put 5 to 10. You get the point. So the 3 criteria are this, and this is when I would say, yes, you can quit your job. Number 1, has your business made in profit what you make from your job for 3 months in a row right now? The answer is yes. Go on to the next one. Second one is take a look at all your bills and expenses. Whatever that total, add them all together. Whatever that total number is, times that by 6 and have that sat in your bank. Is that in your bank right now? If the answer is no, then you're not going to quit your job whilst you start this business. You're going to start the business and hit all 3 criteria and then quit your job. You don't have to quit your job going all in on digital products. You can still work your job and go all in on digital products. I'll explain why in a second. The 3rd criteria, which is the most important, which is if you're going to make this your bread and butter, the thing that literally feeds your family and puts food on the table, you need to make sure you're using a predictable, scalable, replicable traffic source. Organic is not that. That's coming from somebody who spent years, 7 years now on this YouTube channel. My first ever YouTube video dropped on this channel on the 15th of January 2018. I don't know why it says 9th of January on my iPad, but the actual date 17th of January as I'm recording this. I don't know why it says that at the top left corner. If you guys can see, it says 9th of January for some reason. It's not the 9th of January. I don't even know how an iPad gets the date wrong. But yeah, there you go. So 7 years of posting. I've done the whole organic stuff, and I'm here to tell you, you can make a lot of money organically, right? But your organic stuff is like this. It makes your income look like this. The highs are high, the lows are horrible. The highs are beautiful, the lows are horrible. Up here, you're thinking about buying new cars, and down here, you're like, oh my God, no, everything's going to shit. But that's just organic traffic. You'll think you have something a bit broken in your business when really you don't. It's just organic traffic. 1 minute you're hot, 1 minute you're not. It fluctuates. And sometimes it just completely falls off the cliff, which is why learning how to run ads and turn $1 into $3 is crucial. And that's the third criteria. Now, the way how I would start digital products is I would probably skip organic. Let me explain why I would skip organic, especially if I had a 9-to-5 job. What are you gonna do? Go to your job and then be posting on social media talking about you're starting a business? Your boss is probably gonna see that, right? So what can you do instead? Well, let's say you work in the US. What I would do is I'd run ads in Canada. This is literally, you can literally do this, by the way. You can literally run ads to people in Canada if you're in the US, or vice versa. For example, if I was in the UK and I was working a finance job and it was very strict that I was not allowed to post on social media and I'm not allowed to grow a personal brand and I can't build an audience and all this crazy stuff, and there was so much restrictions on what I could post on social media because it's a conflict of interest. Like, you're supposed to be working at in our bank, but yet you're posting about financial help on social media, and it's kind of like, you know, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to leave this job and become a business owner? Which you kind of are. What I would do is, if I was in the UK and I had that job, I'd be marketing and running my ads as dark posts to the US, Canada, and probably Australia as well. And I'd run my ads in these areas. Why? So that nobody in the UK, my boss included, would be able to see my ads. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So this is how you can get around your boss seeing this business that you're so scared of. And believe me, I already know this because I've had so many people that I've helped quit their jobs, right? With starting high ticket stuff and then going into digital products or whatever it is, or vice versa. And they've told me, literally, Montel, I would love to do this and I would love to sell digital products, but I just don't have an audience to get sales. And if I did have an audience and I was getting sales, my boss or my manager at work would see that I'm growing and posting on social media, and it would be a conflict of interest. So I can't do that. What do I do now? The answer is, gotta run ads. You've absolutely gotta run ads if you're in that situation. Do not let that stop you from growing a business and getting out of 9-to-5. Because I'm here to tell you, I've made like 23, I was broke. By 27, I'd made over $1 million. I'm telling you, the grass is greener on the other side. In fact, I think the ultimate scam, if you really want to talk about scams, the ultimate scam is the 9-to-5. When you start looking into where the 9-to-5 came from, how it originated, what it was designed to do, the college system, how it keeps people docile, you'll see where the real scam is. I'll leave that as that. That's for a different story another day. But I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please, guys, listen to this, rewatch this, and this one is for your mindset. Soak this one up. If you need help with creating digital products or anything like that, you don't know what niche to get into, you don't know what offer, you don't know how to even create a digital product, you don't know what topic to talk about, you don't know what skills you can even identify in your life in order to create a digital product, what I want you to do is join the waiting list, because I'm dropping something brand new probably on this Tuesday. If not, it's next Tuesday, and that's going to be a heavily discounted price, which is going to solve all of those problems for you. It's called the Digital Product Blueprint, and I've been wanting to drop this for a very, very long time. So for those that want to enroll into this, the first 25 people, I've cut it from 50 to 25 people, are going to get access to this for only $47. It's literally going to teach you how to create your first digital product so that you can actually get out of that 9-to-5 job and then go on to scale. Because again, you just got to make your first $100 online. Because if you can do that in a replicable way, you can make 200, 400, 800, 1.6K. You get the point. Till eventually you've stacked up that money in your bank account, you've got an actual predictable traffic source, and you're able to make more money than what your job pays you for 3 months in a row. Then you can go about quitting your job. That being said, go drop me a message on Instagram or click the link below, sign up and get that discount for you guys. Anyway, love you guys. Peace.